the underpinnings of the platform is what really helped. It helped Comcast save millions in operational cost. The system provided the ability to quickly identify issues that are long-running, as well as new issues that popped up. And that really helped to reduce that overall failure rate to under 1%.
Portworx with Pure has allowed us to reduce that, so that's one monthly upgrade on a single instance of the database and the application versus 50 previously. So that was typically about 400 man hours a month to do that upgrade, is now down to 4 hours a month. And it's starting to shrink because we're able to do it even faster.
We started Kubernetes, I think we started in our cloud native journey or transformation way back in 2017. Our Kubernetes journey was always tethered around stateful stuff. State has been an important part. Storage is the key integral part, and I think there's hardly anything we can do in Kubernetes without having storage, and that is what is brought us together. Still a lot of problems to solve, and hoping to actually make it simpler and easier for everybody going forward.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to today's webinar on how financial services firms are transforming with Kubernetes data platforms. I'm Adam Swidler, Director of Product Marketing at Portworx, and I will be your host for this session. I'm joined today by Paul Nashawaty from the Futurum Group and Chris Kennedy, a cloud-native architect here at Portworx. Paul and Chris, please introduce yourselves.
Hey, Adam. Hey, Chris. Great to be here. Paul Nashawaty. I am the practice lead and lead analyst for the app dev practice at the Futurum Group. I cover day 0, day 1, day 2, so build, release, and operations across the SDLC, the software development lifecycle.
And I'm Chris Kennedy. I'm the lead cloud native architect for Northeast North America. I've been with Pure Storage for 6 years, and prior to that, I owned a managed service practice for 15 in East Tennessee.
Wonderful. Welcome to you both. I wanted to start this conversation by asking Paul, what have you seen in terms of the adoption of Kubernetes and cloud-native technologies in the financial services industry?
Adam, thank you. That's a great question. And, when I think about my practice and I think about the research that I run into, I often deal with the past, present, and future. So it's the delivery of modernization of applications and how to take those existing applications and move them to a modernized platform. And usually this requires that past statement of siloed applications that may need to move to containerized applications, and has led to the adoption of Kubernetes and the rise of Kubernetes, specifically across the financial services or fintech in particular. But we see it as Kubernetes is a strong key management tool, and it's a tool that allows for the dynamic applications to be fluid and adjust to business needs. It also has the ability to automate and deploy as well as scale, and the overall management significantly reduces the complexity and operational costs. So the focus is really around Kubernetes as a valuable asset across financial institutions that are really going through those digital transformation initiatives.
And Paul, as we dig in a little bit, why are some of the Kubernetes data strategies in particular so critical for financial services firms?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. And when we look at the critical strategies, right, it starts with this multi-cloud strategy, right? And this multi-cloud strategy really helps deliver a best-of-breed solutions. What we see in our research is 67% of organizations in our recent research show that multi-cloud empowers financial services institutions to leverage the most suitable solutions for different cloud providers for their specific needs. We also see cost optimization as coming in at 44% of respondents. And this is basically providing the competitive landscape around cloud providers, creating leverage for FSI companies to really negotiate the favorable pricing, right? To basically have the right pricing. And it also helps them with have cost optimization to not be locked in for those significant cost savings. Infrastructure flexibility comes in at 36%. And FSIs can really adapt those different parts of the infrastructure independently across the different clouds. So it allows them to work with the cloud environments that they're working with, and allows for greater granularity across those clouds, as well as control over resources and allocations, improving agility, and when there's fluctuating regulations and market demands, they can adjust as needed. And then when we look at 38% come in as enhanced security. Security is key for financial services. Of course, security is key across every business, but financial services, it's imperative, right? And when we look at this, well-designed multi-cloud solutions really have that potential to contribute to a more robust security posture, allowing for distributed of sensitive data and workloads across those different cloud environments. So that's really an enhanced security piece. And then finally, the one thing that many organizations look at, especially when we look at FSI organizations, they're really looking at not being locked into a specific vendor. So 21% of respondents indicated that a multi-cloud strategy reduces that reliance on a single vendor, gives them that flexibility, and fosters for that greater operational resiliency and long-term flexibility. This is critical for a lot of those financial services companies, really to maintain compliance and evolve with regulations, avoiding that vendor lock-in that could really hinder future innovation.
And that is a very compelling set of reasons why financial services firms are embracing Kubernetes. But let's dive a little bit deeper and talk specifically about how they are building their Kubernetes data strategies and what types of benefits they're starting to see from them.
Yeah, Adam, when I think about the underlying tech stack and what it takes, financial services industries really are increasing and embracing Kubernetes as a foundation for their building the robust strategy, data strategy solutions. This shift really kind of consists of a number of different factors, right? When we look at it, you have to be scalable and agile, right? What we find in our research is the containerization of data pipelines on Kubernetes can achieve 2 times faster scalability than compared to traditional VM-based approaches or architectures. We also see agility as critical for these financial services companies because it helps with the fluctuation of data volume. So in areas like fraud detection, or providing that real-time transactional analysis, as well as risk management and really stressing those test models. So that's scalable, and agility is really a key factor there. Next, I think when we look at these architectures, it really requires, as I was talking about, that past, present, and future. The present state of architectures is really to use microservices architectures. And we see that 85% of FSI companies are adopting microservices architectures for data pipelines. Well, there's a reason behind that, and that's really comes down to Kubernetes helps facilitate the approach of enabling the creation of independent and containerized data processing services. This modularity really allows for 30% faster development cycles, according to our research, and simplifies as maintenance as well as data pipelines for the FSI teams. Next, portability and cloud native approaches. One of the additional data points here I like to throw out is we ran a study showing that 20% of organizations said that portability of applications is critical to their environment. But Futurum research really shows that 62% of institutions are adopting multi-cloud strategies, right? But so that 20% of critical portability, it really matters. So having the ability to be flexible, it really, really does matter. And Kubernetes application portable across those different cloud environments really aligns with the trend that we're seeing with the research. We also see that Kubernetes allows for effortless workload migrations between cloud providers. And, we don't want to lock in. We see in our research that 94% of organizations are using 2 or more clouds. 65% of organizations in our research show that they're using 4 or more clouds. So having that ability to have an FSI company have that flexibility to move across multiple clouds, but also having a secure environment across those clouds is equally important for those workloads. Next part is really the improved resource utilization. We see in our research that Kubernetes can optimize resource utilization up to 50% compared to traditional data management infrastructures. This really translates to cost savings if you look at it, right? And those cost savings is really what many of these organizations are looking for. They want to optimize, they want to get modernized, but they also, as part of refactoring, is like, well, what happens if I just encapsulate or if I refactor? If I refactor, what am I going to get out of it? Well, this resource utilization is key for those Kubernetes deployments. And then finally, enhanced collaboration. We found that in cloud native research, 54% of organizations will invest in the future and collaboration. And we find that the benefits of Kubernetes fostering collaboration between data scientists, engineering, and DevOps teams is really a key area of focus. The platform provides that, that basically common ground for management pipelines across the CI/CD pipeline, across the SDLC, and the Infinity Loop, as well as improved communications and reducing error across the data processing workflows. So there, Adam, there's a lot here to unpack, and there's a lot to talk about, but this is really what the foundational pieces are that make it really go.
Thank you, Paul, for that wonderful perspective on why data strategies in Kubernetes have become so valuable to financial services institutions. Chris, you've had the opportunity to work with some of the world's leading financial institutions as they've deployed Kubernetes and built out their data strategies. Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen and how your experiences match up with Paul's research?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. And Paul, that was great. We are seeing a lot of these same trends as we talk to financial customers, small to large. And really what I'm finding is that they're falling into two camps. So you have the early adopters, the ones that have stubbed their toes and learned their lessons and are starting to move more towards the environment and the benefits that you describe. And then we see those that are late to the party. They're just getting started on their container journey. And a lot of those are falling into traps of things like over provisioning resources in the cloud because they're trying to do things like lift and shift, literally take their virtual machine instances, put them in the cloud, and expect that that's going to be cheaper, better, whatever the case may be. Ultimately, a lot of those same companies don't have the foresight around that lock-in, and they will start to leverage native services from their various cloud vendors. But then down the road, they realize that they really have no cost control in those situations. And considering the environment today, they don't even know if that cloud provider is going to continue offering that service. And so when you embrace a solution like Portworx to manage your data, that really and truly sets for a culture that can make the financial service industry customer successful. It really kind of forces them to rethink how they're approaching their technology stack, break down those traditional silos between infrastructure, platform, DevOps, storage, compute, networking, and form cross-functional teams that really evaluate the solutions they're putting in place to ensure that they're the right solutions for that application or use case. They focus more on the experience, ensuring that the platforms that provide satisfaction for their customers to help build customer retention, but also to meet the business's SLAs, SLOs, and ensure that they are able to respond as the market continues to shift. So what we're really seeing is the mature, culturally stable customers are moving to this Kubernetes microservice architecture to give their companies the freedom to react to market changes, to really remove that friction between app teams, platform teams, infrastructure, and to provide their development app teams with a golden path based on the project type. And when you have that golden path, a set template that allows those developers to have a much better experience, leading to better retention of those employees, as well as giving them the ability to bring new features and capabilities to market much faster.
Wonderful, Chris. Thank you for sharing some of those experiences. And now we have confirmation on the how and the why Kubernetes data strategies are so valuable for FSIs, but let's get very specific. What are some of the use cases you're seeing in your research, Paul?
Yeah, Adam, absolutely. And I like what Chris was talking about with the golden path. I mean, repeatability is key, for success. But when we look at use cases really really help with understanding how these organizations are driving forward. These what I have is I captured in our research and our discussions. I captured a couple of use cases that I thought were like the relevant ones that kind of bubbled up to the top of the solutions. What we see is fraud detection and prevention, right? We see that Kubernetes really provides that real-time processing, and it allows for actionable insights for that real-time data. That's really a big factor for fraud detection. Of course, you need to be quick. When you see something, you need to have those actionable insights to move quickly on that. So fraud detection and prevention is a key use case. Next, we see risk management and stress testing. When I look at the CI/CD pipeline and I look at pushing out code, we see that 24% of organizations want to push code out on an hourly basis, yet only 8% are able to do so. And part of doing that, you need an underlying architecture that can help with that stress testing across the CI/CD pipeline. And continuous testing is part of that. So deployment of complex risk models to make sure that what you're putting in place makes sense, and it allows for that portfolio optimization as you're driving forward. So I see that FSI companies can really build on containerization risk applications. They can be easily scaled as they need to. Next is a regulatory reporting, right? Reporting is key here because you have to have that real-time data. You have to have the ability to say what happens if if something happens, what's your reaction? The reporting piece here is you can automate the process of gathering and processing the data reporting, which is important for regulatory compliance. That piece is kind of a nice side effect or an enhancement of containerized data pipelines. So if you can take that compliance regulations and reporting, FSI companies can then use that information and have a timely response to the submissions for regulatory reports and producing, or I should say reducing, the manual efforts and errors, right? Human in the loop is important, but human in the loop also may cause errors at some point. So that's why I think this is important to understand. Next one I would highlight here is customer analytics and personalization. Personalization, in my opinion, is search engine 2.0, right? Because if you want the quote Amazon effect of, hey, your cart is going to do this, you need that personalization. And the ability to have those data pipelines that process the customer data from various sources is incredibly important. So you have your systems of engagement, your systems of record that tie in. Kubernetes is built to allow for those different systems of engagement to be built across multiple systems of record. And that's where FSI institutions really kind of gain those insights to the customer, what they're doing there to develop those personalized financial products and services to fit those needs. I mean, my financial services needs may be different than somebody else's, and I want to make sure that that personalization is there. So that's great. And then market analytics and trading. This is also key. We see the market fluctuates every day, right? And not that I'm advocating for day trading, because I'm not, but I'm thinking that it's important to understand what the market is doing in order to, to drive those right responses. So Kubernetes can be used for those deployments and management of the complex algorithms and really help that data processing, right? So you can have those, the trading allows for the right insights to allow for FSIs to react to those market fluctuations, and then basically put those, set the mind at ease of the investors that are working with them. So that's also very key. So I think those are some of the key areas that I pulled out, Adam, out of the specific app dev use cases that I thought were relevant for this conversation.
Yeah, Paul, that sounds like a wide range of some of the most important applications that financial firms run. Chris, what have you seen in the enterprises that you've worked with?
Well, so Adam, Paul's right on the nose, quite frankly. So I've worked recently, as recent as last year, with a top 10 US bank, and they were really struggling with the stability and speed of their retail banking application. This is the front-facing website that all of their customers interact with. And so they engaged with us to replace a competing product, and were ultimately able not only to stabilize that platform, but increase its responsiveness by 4x. And they're now building out an observability platform for troubleshooting future issues. But ultimately, this has led them to increase their customer retention by 30% year over year. And they're able to identify root cause problems in half the time that they were doing previously. So this kind of gets back to some of the things that Paul was discussing around data analytics, around really time to market. Additionally, we have a major credit card company that we work with. Their initial use case was fraud detection. So they built, it took multiple years to work with them and get this through, but they went soup to nuts on testing the solution to ensure that it could provide the performance, resiliency, and ease of use to drive their fraud detection engine. And they're now running that with thousands of nodes of Kubernetes, and they're able to apply new fraud models once an hour, once every 30 minutes as they're detected. When a data breach happens, they're able to reach out to the dark web, collect that data, and compare the credit cards that might have been exposed against their customer base. But they're taking it a step further, and they're starting to leverage role-based access control to enhance their security posture. So they're now able, utilizing Portworx, to be able to say, this application is the only application that can touch that data. And the great part about it is because it's built-in code and it's fully automated, it's repeatable. Every time they deploy an application, they can apply this process and nobody has to think about, is my infrastructure secure? And that makes it very easy to track, to report, and to ensure that they're remaining in compliance on this sensitive system that's bringing every customer transaction through it. And then finally, I've been working with a major global FSI technology partner. These guys provide platforms for the major banks. And, so they're hosting mission critical systems for their customers, which happen to be all of the large global banks. They needed to meet a zero downtime requirement. And so they took a different approach. They came to us for our business continuity and disaster recovery capabilities. But instead of offering that as a feature, they just built it into the platform. So now, once a month, they fail over from their primary to their secondary data center, and they run there for the entire month. That becomes the primary. And then when they're ready, next month, they fail back to the old primary, run there for a month. And so, as you can see, they're just simply, it's no longer disaster recovery, it's business as usual. Now, their latest project, they're starting to bring in logs and aggregate those to feed an AI ML pipeline so that they can start to recognize anomalous behavior on their network and in their infrastructure much quicker. So we would consider that a GPU as a service platform, and that is all being powered by Portworx.
Those are some great examples, Chris, from some of the world's leading financial institutions. I think it's also important to highlight the platform benefits that Kubernetes provides across a wide range of use cases and applications. It's that compound value of solving all those challenges across all those applications and use cases with a single technology and data stack that is secure, portable, reliable, and cost-effective. Paul, can you talk a little bit about the value and business outcomes for FSIs that are widely able to deploy Kubernetes?
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. And when I think about the combination of conversations that I've had with the briefings from the Portworx team and what you're trying to achieve, I was doing some alignment from our research, right? And of course I do a lot of market analysis and trying to understand from an FSI perspective why these applications, how they're really using these applications and what they're really getting out of it. And these are the areas that you see on the slide here, but these are the areas that really kind of bubbled up to be the top areas of concern, right? And the top areas of results, right? So we see increased efficiency. Everyone wants to talk about efficiency, optimization, and running the business better. But by streamlining your data processes, it allows for the faster development cycles. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, 24% of organizations want to push code out the door faster, yet only 8% can do so. If they don't have an underlying platform to do that, they can't achieve those results. That's one of the big areas. Enhance the agility. Agility is key to, especially in this type of environment where you have to move data quickly, have actionable insights, and changing with those market conditions and requirements that are happening in the market. You need to be able to scale and process and basically move that data appropriately. And making informed decisions, improved decision making, having those insights, real-time insights to understand the data allows for the FSIs to really drive those data-driven decisions for risk management, customer service, and product development as well. But it's really the key area is driving towards actionable insights to make those results happen. And then finally, this is an area that I think a lot of organizations and FSIs really have to take into serious consideration. Much of what we talked about can almost be viewed as it has to be table stakes for FSIs to do this. But if you're not innovative and you don't have a competitive advantage, what makes you better than the other one, right? So this is where innovation and competitive advantages really help drive the pure Portworx solution with Kubernetes really tied together, has that tight connection, allows for the empowering those FSIs to develop innovative data-driven solutions. And that allows for advantages in the marketplace. So Adam, I think that these areas here, this is only just the tip of the iceberg, right, on what we're talking about here. But this is really, I think for the audience that's watching, they should take into consideration what they need. And these are some of the top areas that came back from our research.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Paul. And I think it's that last one that potentially represents the most value to financial firms as they modernize and build new applications. Portworx has become an integral part of the Kubernetes data strategy for many of the world's leading FSIs because we provide a data platform and a data management solution across not just one or a few applications, but across all Kubernetes applications. And our solution is comprised of 3 components that together automate, protect, and unify data management in Kubernetes. Portworx Enterprise is built for Kubernetes and offers automated and intelligent persistent storage and data management for containerized applications. Portworx Backup provides data protection capabilities, including cloning, snapshots, encryption, and disaster recovery. Portworx Data Services provides database as a service to a wide range of modern databases like Postgres, Kafka, Mongo, SQL Server, and more. And together, they provide a platform for Kubernetes data management across your entire enterprise, accelerating developers and data scientists and protecting your data and giving you strategic flexibility and control over your data in Kubernetes. As we come to an end of this webinar on how financial services institutions are transforming using data strategies on Kubernetes, I want to thank you all for engaging with us and spending this time with us today. It has been an engaging discussion, and I hope you found value and insights in the information that was shared. I want to thank my co-presenters, Paul Nashawaty from the Futurum Group and Chris Kennedy from Portworx, for sharing their valuable insights and experiences. Now, before we wrap up, if you have further questions or would like to continue the conversation, please visit our website at portworx.com. There you can access resources such as blog posts, white papers, the recording of this webinar, and analyst reports, including soon a little bit of a teaser for some research we're working on with Paul. Paul, you want to tell the group a little bit about what you're doing?
Oh, we're spilling the beans. We're giving them a preview here. This is great information. If there, like I said earlier, this content here in this presentation is just the tip of the iceberg. The research brief, the report that we're putting out really dives deep into all of these different areas. So very much looking forward to having that release very soon.
Yeah, so we'll have that white paper up on our website in a few weeks' time. In the meantime, there's lots of other assets up there. There's also an opportunity to sign up for a hands-on lab. This is where you can join one of our instructors and go through a set of instructional workshops where you will actually put your hands on the keyboards and get a chance to experience our solution firsthand. So you can sign up for those hands-on labs on the website, portworx.com. Once again, thank you for your participation and engagement. With that, we'll conclude today's webinar. Goodbye.